All right, what's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Headshot. Thanks so much for joining me today as we are looking at the best Harley Davidson for touring and some ones I would stay away from. If this is your first time stopping by, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit your notifications so you never miss a video from me right here. And depending on what kind of other content you're into, whether that be music or gaming or guns, I'll leave a link to those other channels down below. And if you want to support this channel, I created a brand new Patreon. Love to have you guys join me over there as well. Let's go ahead and get into this. So I came up with some categories to help us determine what is going to be the best touring motorcycle from Harley Davidson. Now keep in mind, I'm looking at stock motorcycles, the way they come from the factory, because all of these parts can be changed out, right? So I'm looking at how you would receive the bike straight from the factory with no additional add-ons to help me categorize these bikes. And like I said, this is just my opinion, and these are 5 things to help me grade each and every motorcycle. So the first thing we're going to look at is comfort. The bike has to be comfortable, whether that's seating position or the seat itself or whatever. Comfort is a big one here, right? And I've ridden pretty much every Harley in the lineup, so I'll be able to give you a good idea of my personal experience with each and every one of these. Radio. Dude, this is a big reason I got rid of the Lowrider S, is because I was listening to music in my headphones. And again, I know this stuff can be added on, but there's nothing like being able to listen to your tunes through speakers, and having a radio and a way to play music is a big one for a good touring motorcycle in my opinion. Storage, being able to carry wet weather gear, extra clothes depending on what you're doing, camera equipment, or whatever you need to carry, storage is going to be a big one here. So power is another big one here. It's something I'm going to touch on just a little bit, but most of these bikes from the 107 to 117, they all have a good amount of power. I'll touch on it a little bit. And then wind deflection and wind protection, right? Because if you have a bike with no fairing or no windshield, you're going to get beat up on long road trips. And to be a good touring motorcycle, it needs to have a good fairing. And the level of protection and the different ways the wind will actually hit that fairing, depending if it's street glide or road glide, electric glide, whatever, is really going to make a big difference and an impact to you as a rider. I'm going to grade each one of these bikes. I'm not going to look at every single Harley Davidson here. I'm looking at the main touring motorcycles, and at the end I'm going to tell you which one I think is the best and why. Let's do it. Let's start with the Electra Glide Standard. Now this is actually one of the few bikes in their lineup I haven't ridden, but I have a pretty good idea of what this bike is. It is an entry level, under $20,000 to get a bagger from Harley Davidson. So what about the comfort aspect? We're going to look at the seat here, which from the stock setup, stock seat, it is just a solo seat, kind of like some of the Softails and things will give you. It doesn't look like a very comfortable seat at all. The seating position and stuff, very similar from what I see to a street glide. So as far as that, it probably has a pretty decent riding position, but the seat looks like it kind of sucks. No radio on this bike. You're going to get a little cubby. You're going to get your gauges. No radio to speak of here, so that definitely dings this bike in the touring department as well. As far as storage, you're going to get pretty much what you would get on like a regular Road King, right? You got 2 decent sized saddlebags. Are they as good, and can you fit as much in those as you can the stretch bags? No, but you still have a decent amount of storage here, so that's actually a pretty good thing on this motorcycle, and that's the idea of this one, is it gets you into the bagger world without spending a ton of money really. Power, this bike only comes with the 107. It is a noticeably less powerful bike when you've ridden the 114 and the 107. But if you just ride the 107, you're gonna be like, man, this thing is actually really torquey. It's got a pretty decent power, but compared to the 114, it's lacking just a little bit, but the 107 is definitely no slouch. And when it comes to wind protection, you actually have a decent size fairing there. And the street glide fairing, I feel like with the way the wind hits you, it's very manageable, very comfortable. I don't get a ton of buffering or nothing like that on my old street glide. You know, the Electra Glide Standard is a pretty decent entry into touring motorcycles, but to be quite honest with you, I'd give it like a 4. No radio, and the seat sucks. Those are 2 big dingers on the Electra Glide Standard. Let's move on. All right, let's talk about the Road King and the Road King Special. The Road King, as far as comfort, is way more comfortable. Not only is the seat more comfortable for you, but also for your passenger. The Road King Special is more of the stripped down bagger look that sits a little bit lower, so you have a little bit less ground clearance. The handlebars don't come back as far on the Road King Special. they do on the Road King though. So you have more of a comfortable, natural position on the Road King. So when it comes to comfort, the Road King is definitely more comfortable, not only for you, but for your passenger, just because of that seat and the seating position. Let's talk about the tunes. Well, that's gonna be up to you, right? Because straight from the factory, neither one of these bikes have radios on them, so there's nothing much I can really say there. Let's talk about storage, and this is a pretty big area here for the Road King Special, because it actually has a stretch bags, which not only look better, in my opinion, but you can fit a little bit more into those bags, whereas opposed to the regular Road King, it has the bags that just kind of sit above the pipes, whereas the stretch kind of curve over them. So aesthetically, and the fact that you can fit a little bit more in those, the Road King Special has a better storage here, I think. Power, the regular Road King is going to come with the 107. The Special is going to come with the 114, which is all blacked out. So I got to give the nod here to the Special because, like I said, if you ride the bikes, you know, side by side, which is something I encourage everybody to do if you're looking at one of these, make sure your dealer will let you ride the bikes, you know, assuming you have your license and whatever else requirements they need from you, ride the bike side by side. You'll see what I'm saying. You can definitely feel a difference from the 114 to the 107. The nod goes to the Road King Special here on that one as well. But then when we talk about wind protection, the Road King actually gives you a quick detach windshield, and that's going to make a huge difference not only on long trips, but just getting up over 65 miles an hour. You're really going to notice that that wind protection, you know, the windshield isn't going to do as good as a fairing, but it's better to have one of those than to not. The Road King is going to beat you up a little bit after a little bit of time. So when it comes down to it, these bikes are so totally different, man. And there's things on the Road King that I would love to transfer over. So if I was buying one of these bikes, I would buy the Road King Special. Then I'd have to add my saddlebag guards. I'd have to add a better seat for sure. And I'd have to add some kind of wind deflection and get a, you know, a blacked out windshield to put on that bike. When it comes to the touring aspect of them and my grading system, I would give them like a 5.5 to a 6. No radio. It doesn't have the greatest wind protection, especially compared to a fairing. That's just a couple of dings there against the Road King and the Road King Special. Let's move on. All right, let's talk about the Street Glide, the Special, and the ST, right? So these bikes are going to give you a little bit more options compared to the Road King and the Road King Special. There's going to be some similarities you're going to notice across from the regular to the Special and even the ST that I'm going to talk about here, okay? But let's talk about comfort first of all. First thing out of the gate, none of these have great seats on them at all, right? So, and the ST actually has a solo seat. So if you have a passenger, that's one upgrade you're going to have to do immediately. Seating position on all of them is pretty much the same, right? So when it comes to comfort, they're all going to be very similar, although the ST takes a little bit of a step back. I don't even see passenger pegs on this. Now, granted, I haven't seen one in person, but it doesn't even come with passenger pegs, and it comes with a solo seat on the ST. I don't know. Anyways, let's move on. Radio and infotainment. So they all come with radios, but the ST and the Special come with the Boom GTS system, which is a step above the old Boom Box 4.3 or whatever it was. It's all touchscreen. The GTS is much better system on the Special and the ST. Light years beyond what comes on the regular Street Glide, okay? But if you just want music and the ability to play music, they all come with speakers and some way to play music, so that's definitely a step above the Road King and the Special there. Storage, so this is interesting. The Street Glide comes with regular bags that sit above the tailpipes. The Special comes with the nice stretch bags. The ST comes with the regular bags that sit above the tailpipe. They made some weird decisions on the ST that, for the life of me, I cannot comprehend. So when it comes to storage from the factory, the Special is the way to go. Not only aesthetically, in my opinion, but it's going to fit a little bit more as well. So there you go. There's storage. Power. These are all pretty dang different. So 107 in the regular Street Glide, 114 in the Street Glide Special, 117 in the ST. And this is where the ST starts to shine and pull away from the pack. You see what I did there? So the 117 is a monster of a motor, and it only exclusively came in CVO options. Before it, But now you can get it in the Street Glide ST. It's a monster, dude. It is an awesome motor. I had it in the Lowrider S, which that thing was super quick. So in the power department, the ST is where it's at. The 114 is absolutely no slouch, and the Street Glide kind of falls behind here with the 107. I'd be going with that 114 or the 117 without a doubt. And wind protection. They all have the same fairing, dude, so you're going to get the same level of wind protection. But compared to the Road King and the Road King Special, well, especially the Road King Special, the wind protection from a fairing, from a windshield to a fairing, it's light years better in the fairing, man. You're going to get, not only are you going to get great wind protection on long trips, but you're also going to get rain protection and deflection from rocks when you get behind big vehicles and, you know, big trucks and stuff on the road. Man, the fairing is so nice. And you may be thinking, if you've never ridden a bike with a fairing, like, dude, I can't get any wind. That's not true, really, man. I mean, you can get a good amount of wind because you have a little vent, and I don't think they open or close anymore on the new models. They just stay open all the time. So you get a good amount of wind, but it also blocks a lot of wind from your chest and really keeps you from getting tired on long trips, man. So the fairing here and the wind protection is fantastic. So when it comes to grading the Street Glide series of bikes, man, I'm gonna give these like an 8.5 to a 9. And if I were to pick one, you know, I would say on a regular Street Glide, it's like a 7. I'd say on an ST, honestly, it's like a 7.5 because that motor does not justify enough for me to go with an ST because I'm lacking the seat in the passenger seat, lacking the pegs. It doesn't have the bags I like. So the gold or brushed gold, whatever, copper wheels and the bigger motor do not justify it enough for me to go ST. There might be some other little things I'm missing there, but those are the big things I notice. I would go with the Special. I think it is such an awesome bike, dude. My favorite bike up until this point, up until I got the new bike, has been the Street Glide Special. It is an amazing bike. That's the one I would go with, and that's the one I would grade at a 9 or 8.5 to a 9 in the touring department. It's a really nice bike for touring. Let's talk about the Road Glide Special, and Road Glide ST. Most of the stuff is going to carry over from the Street Glide. So comfort, they're essentially all the same, except the ST again comes with a solo seat, no passenger pegs. Seating position on this bike is better, I think, than the Street Glide. I feel like the bars, I feel like they're a little bit higher and they come back to you. And for me personally, dude, this is a comfortable bike, dude. I love the way the bars and everything is set up with the floorboards. It's an amazingly comfortable bike, dude. So when it comes to all three from the factory, just keep in mind, you're going to be throwing money at a seat anyways, pretty much on any Harley, but these are super comfortable bikes, man. So for touring, in the comfort department, these things are top notch. Radios, pretty much the same as what we talked about on the Street Glide. GTS system for the Special and the ST, and then the Boombox 4.3 on the regular Road Glide. Again, the GTS is light years above the Boombox there. When it comes to storage, same deal. The Road King Standard, or I'm sorry, the Road Glide Standard and the Road Glide ST come with bags that sit above the tailpipes. The Special has the stretch bags, nod to the Special here. When it comes to power, again, you have a 107, 114, 117 in the ST. The 114 is amazing. The 117 is even better. So nod to the ST here. And when it comes to wind protection, from the Road Glide fairing to the Street Glide fairing, I don't know what it is, man. I almost feel like the Road Glide, it's a little bit easier to steer, right? And because it has a frame-mounted fairing as opposed to a fork-mounted fairing, that makes sense. You're not turning the big fairing with you every time. But even wind protection, yeah, I feel like these bikes are so close to each other, man. The Road Glide is a little bit more aerodynamic. So I feel like it helps just a little bit, but man, both these fairings are just awesome on these bikes. Really, the biggest thing I noticed between the two is just the way they steer, man. The Road Glide is just an easier bike to steer. When it comes to wind protection, the Road Glide is absolutely incredible. So when it comes to these bikes, again, I'm gonna grade it just like I did the Street Glide. Aesthetically and just all the way around, I think the Special is the best option because of those bags. The 114 is absolutely no slouch. I hate the bags, and I hate the fact it doesn't come with a passenger setup on the ST. Like I said, that 117 is just not enough for me to go that route. So like I did, I went with the Special instead. The Standard, the 107, the bags, and that boombox, just not enough for me to sway me that direction. I think the Special is, again, the best option here, and I would give this bike like a 9, a solid 9, because this thing is just amazing, dude. Let's talk about the Ultra Limited and the Road Glide Limited. These two bikes are the Mac Daddy of touring here, and when it comes to comfort, you don't get much more comfortable or any more comfort than you do from these bikes, man. You have a big cushy seat that's really nice when you have a passenger. And one thing that my buddy did, that he actually has a Road Glide Limited, is I gave him an old Street Glide seat that I have whenever he's riding by himself. Because it is a lot with the tour pack and everything. You get ultimate comfort, but when you want a more stripped down, easy rider kind of look, so to say, it can be a lot. So, you know, you have the nice option because you have the tour pack, and you have the ability to fit 2 full-size helmets in this tour pack. Comfort here is amazing, and not only comfort while you're riding, comfort while you're sitting. You have water-cooled heads, which this bike does run a bit cooler whenever you're in stop-and-go traffic. At least his Ultra Limited did, and I rode that one quite a bit, and like I said, the Road Glide Limited, they're the same. They have water-cooled heads as opposed to oil-cooled heads. So it is a more comfortable bike all the way around. Keep in mind, with that comfort comes more weight than the Special versions before it. That's just something you're gonna have to kind of deal with. And one thing I didn't talk about on the Special versions of these bikes, and the STs as well, and this goes all the way around, is the ground clearance isn't as much. I believe the shocks are maybe like an inch shorter or something, so they're not gonna take bumps as well as like the Limited or the regular Street Glide or the regular Road Glide. Keep that in mind. That will play into comfort a little bit as well. Not enough to sway me in that direction, but it is something I wanted to mention here for sure. But when it comes to comfort, these are the Mac Daddy, the caddies of touring motorcycles. Comfort here is top notch. Radios, you're gonna get the GTS system out of all these. They sound good. You're gonna get speakers in the back and in the front, so your sound is gonna be even better, not only for you, but for your passengers as well. Sound is top notch here as well. Power, 114 exclusively in these motorcycles, which even with the added weight of the tour pack, the 114 is awesome, dude. So there you go, there's that. When you talk about storage, right? Storage, I think I got out of line there a little bit, but storage is incredible on these bikes. One thing I wish they would do, and I guess I kind of get why they don't, but put stretch bags on these bikes, because they do come with the standard size bags, right? They're right above the tailpipe, but you get the big tour pack with the rack on top of the tour pack. Storage, you get a ton of storage here. The only thing you can get more out of storage wise in a Harley Davidson is a freaking trike, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to be riding a trike anytime soon. I respect the hell out of guys that ride trikes, do not get me wrong, but I don't want to be on a trike anytime soon. I hate the way those things drive. I got a review coming soon on one, actually. They have trunks in them, dude. Trunks, actual trunks. So yeah, there's that. Storage is top notch as well. Wind protection, it depends. Do you like the Road Glide? The Street Glide kind of look to them, but one thing these bikes offer, especially the Ultra Limited, is it has passing lamps straight from the factory. So that is a good thing. That adds to, I don't know what you would call it, but it adds almost to a level of comfort. You're going to be able to be seen better, which is a good thing, obviously from the front there. More lighting at night if you're doing a night trip or whatever. So the Ultra Limited has the nod there when it comes to lighting for sure. And all the way around, man, I would say, you know, one thing I had an issue with on his Limited, on his Ultra Limited, it has the big floorboards for your passengers, so kind of backing up if you're a shorter guy like I am. And it sits a little bit taller than the Special versions of the Road Glide and Street Glide. I'm not trying to conflate Ultra Limited with Street Glide, but it has that same type of feel to it. That's why I'm, you know, doing that. But they are different bikes. But it just became more about you know, trying to get myself lower to the ground, so I have to have a low kind of seat on these bikes if I were to go with one. The reach seat is really good because it gives your passenger a nice setup while putting you a little lower to the ground. But all the way around, man, these bikes are just super comfortable. The one thing I noticed between the two, though, is the seating position, or the way the handlebars come back a little bit more to you on the Road Glide. So again, I think it's more comfortable for somebody like me, and it's going to be easier to steer because it's a, you know, a frame mounted fairing as opposed to fork mounted fairing. So just take your pick there. But these are like a 10 in the touring department. They have the little heat deflectors underneath, you know, for the rear cylinders. It's just an amazing motorcycle for touring. So I'd give them like a 10 there. So you would think those would be the best. One other bike I wanted to mention here is the Heritage Classic. So I rode the 107 version of the Heritage. That was one of the most comfortable bikes I've ever ridden as far as seating position. You're going to get a windshield on that motorcycle as well. You're going to get leather bags, but they are lockable. You're going to get a super comfortable seat. So if you're looking for more of a soft tail frame that's a little bit lighter, and you want something that can do touring as well, that might be a good option. Also, you have the Pan America, which if you put bags on it and stuff, that could be a real touring motorcycle. You know what I mean? I think they even list it as an adventure touring motorcycle, right? I don't know that it'd be so comfortable because you don't have a radio straight from the factory. It is liquid cooled, so it's going to run cooler, and it has a hell of a motor in it. That's not something I would go with. As far as an only motorcycle, there's no way. But that's an option as well. The Heritage, I wouldn't sleep on that. That's a nice bike if you want a soft tail, no radio, so you have to kind of make that call for yourself. When it comes to all of these, which motorcycle would I go with? The Limited, Road Glide Limited, or the Road Glide Special, I think are the best options. Just because I love the way these bikes steer, man. I'm so glad that I was talked into going with a Road Glide as opposed to another Street Glide, because man, it makes such a huge difference with the way everything's set up, handlebars, steering, all of that stuff I've talked about, and plus the bike just looks sick. They all look sick, right? So there you go, man. The best touring motorcycle, in my opinion, from Harley Davidson, Road Glide Special or Road Glide Limited, with the Ultra Limited being right there. They're so freaking close. Those are the bikes I would go with. That's just my opinion. I want to hear what yours is down in the comments below. Make sure you follow the links down below to my other channels, and if you want to support me on Patreon. Thank you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold the rubber side down.